When the original PlayStation Classic, the Mini, came out, I was so excited about it. I looked forward to it. And then it released, and it was okay, mostly blah. It didn't have all the games I really wanted on it. It wasn't easy to use. And yeah, eventually it was able to be hacked. But initially, it was sort of a blah kind of product. Well, when Taki Udon announced his MiSTER FPGA project, the Superstation 1, I was so excited because I knew finally I could have what I originally thought I was going to get way back in the PlayStation Mini. Today, we're going to do an unboxing and take a look at and show my testing of this in my first experience with the MiSTER FPGA, which is quite different than emulation, software emulation. Remember to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss an episode of our content. But let's dive in and unbox this beautiful console that I took a year to wait on. But was it worth it? Let's find out.
I think we ran out of gas.
I told you to go see Dead Fred.
Why, yes, they should. I mean, haven't they seen my commercial?
At Dead Fred Auto, we have no need for gas. Do you?
That's right, because we've gone all electric here at Dead Fred Auto. So come down and select one of the best new... No, wait, I'm not a car dealer. Oh, man, that would be kind of cool. I actually want an electric vehicle. Hey, Deadheads, welcome to the channel. Or welcome to the channel for the first time, new Deadheads. Today, we're going to take a look at the Superstation 1 by Retro Remake. All right, so now that we have the Superstation 1 in hand, let's take a look at the box. And oh boy, immediately this box invokes the original box on the PlayStation. Now, for those of you who may not know, me and my brother ran a site in the late 90s called PlayStation Nation, which changed to PSX Nation because Sony sent us this nice little cease and desist letter. But PSX Nation, when I first got a hold of the original PlayStation in the box, I was amazed at the look of the box and packaging. And Taki has done a great job here with this package. We've got the Retro Remake on the front, a picture of the gray unit. We've got the Superstation 1 Founders Edition, and it looks like the PlayStation, the font evokes that. Looking around the box, and we have more of that same PlayStation-looking font, and it says, Retro Remake, are you ready to FPGA? Now, this is my first MiSTER. I did not have any MiSTER before. I do have an analog pocket, but I'm not completely new to FPGA, but for the MiSTER project, this is new. But looking at this box, it even has a little cutout right there, just like the original boxes, which is really, really nice. On the side here, the content shows the console. We have the console, a TF card, which is a 64 gig TF card, a USB cable, HDMI cable, printed materials, and the USB PSU is not included. This is the RCSH1001. So even down to that, we do have the same sort of style that we had with the original PlayStation box. On the back here, we do have a nice little ode to the original as well, showing some of the games that you have. Now, there's over 70 homebrew games preloaded. This doesn't come with any of the original games that you might be looking to play. You'll have to add those yourself, but I love that they added these homebrew games, so you will have something to try out as soon as you get it. It says the console does not include any games or copyrighted material to use this console. You must provide your own games and BIOS files for select systems. It's not unusual, especially for somebody that is looking to not gain the wrath of Sony like Nintendo, so no surprises there. But opening this thing up, we do have a couple of boxes within some boxes, and I was a little surprised at the way that this is sort of organized, but it's really nice because it actually does have that sort of same feel that we're used to, that we've seen before in the past. Now, oh, as I pull it out here, my God, this thing is gorgeous. It is so gorgeous. Look at this. I love the blue color. It evokes such a great thing, and it's so nice looking. Now let's look underneath, and we do have a little bit of things here. We do have a couple of cables here, an HDMI cable. We also have a USB power cable, and we have a little manual in here. Now this does not come with a controller, but you can use many different types of controllers. But let's pull it out here and take a look at it. And oh, this thing is just stunning in person. The plastic does not feel cheap. It feels nicely put together. It looks like the original PS1, the mini one that they came out with later on, the Slim or whatever, PS1, not PlayStation, PS1. But I love the way it looks. I love that this thing has a lot of original looking details to it. We do have original controller ports with snack. What a snack. I didn't really know. I still don't know, but maybe somebody can educate me. But I do know that it does work great with USB and Bluetooth controllers. Now, one of the things that I wanted to do is just take you on a tour around the unit here. You can see there's a lot of ports, including a nicely little hidden port for if you want to use a bunch of old component cables or RGB cables, which is really cool, especially if you have a CRT TV that you want to put this thing in. So this thing is loaded with stuff. We have an SD card slot. We have a front-facing USB slot. We have 2 additional USB slots on the back. We have the power USB slot back there for powering. And then we have component, and we have some other hookups that you can do here along with HDMI. Now, I'm going to be using this on my 4K TV or monitor, which I have a portable monitor. You're going to see some footage on here. Now, there's pretty good instructions. There's a little card here where you can scan it, and it'll take you to help you get this thing set up. I also love that the Founders Edition has this nice little sticker that you can put on there to distinguish it from it. As you can see here, I did add it to my unit. But, man, this thing is just nice looking. I love the way it is. But how is this thing to actually use, right? Because it's one thing to kind of just have it look pretty on your desk, but is it functional? So let's get this thing hooked in, and I'll show some footage and start talking about my experience playing it. Okay, so let's talk about my experience with it. So hooking it up was pretty simple. I actually first tested it with a monitor, a portable monitor that I have, using a power bank to power everything. So I used the included cable, the USB cable for power. I used the HDMI cable that was included along with an adapter because my portable monitor has a mini HDMI input. So I had to put a little adapter at the end of it. And then I used a USB cable to a controller that I have, a PC controller. And I plugged that into the front of it. The unit has plenty of ports. It was well thought out. It has some hidden component ports, composite ports. So it's really nicely thought out. But just for playing on modern hardware, a modern TV or monitor, it's pretty straightforward. Turning the machine on, it came on pretty quickly, which was really nice. Now, when I first turned it on, I was greeted with a menu that I'm not very familiar with, which is okay because, like I said, I'm not really used to the MiSTER ecosystem. But it's pretty straightforward. There's a little nice background that Taki has put in there for Retro Remake. And then you have settings that pretty much are self-explanatory. Now, this is not a guide, so just an overview as you see here. Moving through the menus is pretty easy. I didn't have any trouble moving through the menus. And I was able to try some of the homebrew games. Now, thankfully, they did add those. Now, I was able to easily pull the SD card out, take it to my computer, and add some of my own ROMs. And the file structure was pretty familiar to me. Nothing too crazy or anything I wasn't used to. I then went back and put the card back in, and it was ready to go. Playing on this thing is pretty nice. I was immediately impressed with the look and the smoothness of it. There is a sort of instant, less lag. It's hard to explain. You can tell it's not emulation, or at least not software emulation. There is some debate about whether FPGA is emulation, but it's just so much more fluid. It felt natural. It's funny. I didn't expect that, but playing the games, as you can see here, I'll play some of the footage here, was really nice. And it doesn't capture well. I don't have a capture card to really show this great, but it actually just felt really good. I was a little taken aback playing some of the stuff that I play over and over again on handhelds like Game Boy or Game Boy Advance. It was really amazing how nice it looked. Now, moving to a much bigger screen in my 4K TV, the Game Boy Color game, for example, as you can see here, was wow. That thing is pixelated and blown up, but also super clear. The controller had absolutely no lag. The input lag was really, really just almost instantaneous, and it felt good. Now, I did have a little bit of issues with trying to set up things like the keyboard. It does take USB ports and it does have a keyboard. As far as I could tell, there's no software built-in keyboard, something I hope that they bring to the table, or if I'm missing it, please point out in the comments where it's at. I tried 2 different keyboards. I couldn't get them working. And what did I need a keyboard for? Well, the Wi-Fi. It has built-in Wi-Fi. And when it asked me to put in my password, I had no way to put the password in. So I eventually gave up on that, and I hooked it into Ethernet. Yes, it has an Ethernet port. This is really good and really brilliant, and I'm glad that they included both Wi-Fi and an Ethernet port. And remember, although I had to wait a whole year for this, I got this thing at $149, which is really, really good and amazing if you ask me. Now, the other little tip that I'll give is getting a Bluetooth controller to work. I had no idea. It said hit F11 on the keyboard. I couldn't get a keyboard working, so I then found out, and here's a tip for you. If you hold the menu button on the console itself for a few seconds, like 5 seconds, it will then pull up a Bluetooth menu and start searching. It's going to ignore non-input, so anything it finds it's not a controller, it's going to ignore. But if you have a controller ready to sync, it should sync up. I was able to get a really nice one of my controllers from Beitong to sync up with it pretty quickly and get going. Now, there are some things about it. If you're trying to get into the main menu through PS1 and you're using an old controller hooked directly into it, it's not going to work for the other systems. This is a work in progress for software. We have not yet really gotten Taki's vision of the consoleization of it. This is MiSTER FPGA, but because I'm an early adopter, I don't care. By the time this thing really reaches, I think, modern people or people not aware of this stuff, I do think it'll be put together in a really good way. So my experience playing PlayStation was wonderful. Playing it felt so good and natural. It felt much better than what it did on that PS Classic that I was excited about years ago. I think the experience here is greater. I love the built-in software. It's easy to make saves. It's easy to pull the saves back up. It works a lot like what I'm used to on the handheld world or in the PC world with my software emulation. So there's not a lot of surprises there. Now you can do things like change the aspect ratio. You can put filters on there. You can put all kinds of effects. You can change the sort of resolution of it and all that kind of stuff. But the point being is that this is FPGA, and it just seems to play a lot better. I really am hopeful for a handheld using this same hardware. I would love to see that. Now, this can play up to N64, and yes, FPGA hardware is still far behind software emulation, but for everything up to N64, it's pretty impressive. Even Sega Saturn is playing on this system pretty good. I was kind of surprised and taken aback. Moving through the software is pretty basic. Now, once I had this thing hooked into my internet, I was able to go and grab an update file, much like in the world of the Pocket, Analog Pocket. You can do an update. There's wonderful scripts. Hit the link below where I left the link to that, and you can grab it. But once I did that, it updated all kinds of stuff for me, added all kinds of new things, got it up to date, and I'm playing arcade stuff. I'm playing, Game Boy with different layouts and stuff like that. It's just really nice. So for my initial impressions of this, was it worth the wait? Well, nobody likes to wait, but I gotta say, overall, I really have enjoyed this. I've got to say, I've liked playing on it. We'll do some more videos, but I think it's a well crafted. It came in a well thought out box. Kudos to Taki. A lot of people don't realize how much work goes into this. I know the guy has been working his butt off on this, long hours, and I gotta say, I for one am thankful and acknowledge it because of a product that I like, and maybe some of it's just the newness, but I really do like it, and I think that it's going to be something I'm going to use quite a bit more than probably the analog M3 3D. I don't know. We'll see. Or the analog or the M1 from Mod Retro. FPGA is continuing to develop, and this is just a start for it. I'm having a lot of fun on this. I didn't have a lot of issues with it. It was out of the box, ready to play, and it's going to be developed and has a lot of promise. But let me guys know what you think. Is this something you've thought about getting? Is it something that you think is stupid? I want to know what you think about it. Anyways, remember to hug your loved ones and love your hugged ones because tomorrow's never promised. We'll see you next time, Deadheads. Dead Fred out.